Hey, I'm going to show you guys how I achieve my soft glam look. First, I wipe the face with Neutrogena wipes just to make sure that it's free of any dirt or oils. Next, I take my Danessa Myricks Beauty Oil and just apply it all around the face. Next, I'm going to take my Jet Lagged Eye Gel by Matte Beauty, and I just use this to kind of moisturize the face and give it that glow effect while also preventing creases from happening. Now I take my Morphe spray and I just spray the face to make sure it's moisturized. Next, I'm going to take my face roller to kind of put the product into the skin while also giving the client a massage. Next, I take 70% alcohol and just kind of brush it into the brows before I fill them in or anything to make sure there's no product. Then I take my Brow Freeze by Anastasia and I just brush the brows up in an upward motion to kind of give it that feathered brow effect. And then now I'm going along the top and just lining it up so I don't have to do it with the pencil, so it looks more natural. So in order to correctly shade match, you have to look at your client's chest, so that's what I'm doing here. And I also tell her to turn to the side to look at her jawline as well. So now I'm just applying my foundation all over the face. So now I'm going to take my concealer and just blend it into the skin rather than placing it and then blending it, because I feel like it gives me a more seamless look for my clients. So now I place concealer under the eyes, around the mouth, and around the nose. Now I'm going to conceal the brows, and I still haven't filled them in yet. I'm just concealing, and while you're concealing, you want to make sure that you pull the client's eyebrow up. So you want to pull it in an upward motion, how I am in this video, so you can kind of get the actual shape of the eyebrow. So now I'm just blending the concealer down into her eye so it can kind of give me a base to work with when I apply my eyeshadow. Now I take my brush and I just blend out that concealer, because what we don't do is those harsh lines. That's a no-no. And boom, do you see the material? Stop playing with me. Now I'm just blending out all of her concealer and make sure that she looks kind of seamless before I move on to my next steps. And this is her feeling herself, because you know, when you sit in my chair, you feel yourself. Now, in order to check if a color is right, I like to take my popsicle stick and just color match before I actually blend it in. Now that I see that my contour matches, I blend that into the cheekbones and then around the forehead and then to the other side of cheekbones. So now I take my brush. I don't really know if this is meant for contour, but it works for me. And so I use it to kind of like make the nose look skinnier at the top. As you can see, like her nose is kind of getting that like snatch look at the top. And that's what we're going for, okay? So now I take that same brush and I kind of brush over my concealer line to make sure that it blends and it doesn't look super white under the brows. And of course, I have to spray her. I spray a lot during the process. So now I'm just taking my beauty blender and just blending out the whole face to kind of make sure that it's seamless and that the spray is locked in. The reason why I like this is because if I mess up, I can just easily use the beauty blender to kind of sculpt out where I would want things. And you want to make sure that your client is fully blended. When it comes to blending, you cannot be lazy. I don't care if you do it 20 times, do it 20 more times. So now I just take the leftover concealer on my brush and I kind of just sculpt out the cheekbone to kind of give it that contour effect, and I just blend that right on out. So I decided to add some more concealer to her under eye just to kind of brighten her up a little bit. Not too much, not ghostly, just a little bit. You kind of want to give a bright under eye, but you don't want to do too much with it, okay? This is why it's important to use light amount of products so you can build it up. Now I'm going to just make sure all of that is properly blended under her eye. Now I'm going to spray her just to make sure everything is intact. Before I add my powder, I like to blend my client all the way out to make sure there are no creases. Then I add my RCMA powder under the eyes and then kind of around everywhere that I concealed, basically. You want to add powder. Okay, y'all, we looking a little crazy, but just trust the process. I promise you. So now I'm just finally filling in the brows, and I'm using very light strokes. I'm not drawing no line under the brows. I'm not drawing no line on top of the brows. Just fill in where the hair is. I also like to lightly fill in the front just to give it like the same amount of density that the back of the eyebrow has. You don't want the front of your eyebrow looking a different size than the back. You want the eyebrow to look even all around. So now I'm just blending out the eye before I actually add on my eyeshadow. Now I'm applying my eyeshadow, and I like to start in the inner corner and by the lash line, then work my way up and out. Next, I'm taking that same shadow and just kind of pressing of where I put the concealer. Not too much though, because you still want that line to show that you have concealer under the brows. Look at her looking like a cute ghost. Stop playing with her. Now I just dip my brush in my eye pencil, and I'm just going to put that in the front and kind of just blend that out so it's like a white base. Now I'm just going to do the same thing to the other eye. And now you just want to blend, blend, blend. You want to make sure that the white goes seamlessly into that brown. Y'all, she just like me because I be having to check myself through every process. Now I'm just using that same contour brush and just blending the two together and kind of just making sure that it's seamless. Now I'm using my brown pencil to line the waterline. So if your client starts to water like my model, you kind of want to just tilt their head to the side and place a Q-tip and have them close their eyes on the Q-tip to prevent any foliage. Now I'm just quickly lining the other waterline. So now I'm just wiping off all of the powder that I placed, and I don't like to personally leave the powder on for too long because I feel like it gives like a ghostly effect. So I want to get that off as soon as I can. Now I'm going to spray her again to kind of bring her skin back to life. And you already know the drill. We about to blend all of that together again to make sure everything is seamless before we move on to our next step. Now I use the Nessamyric's color powder 2 and 2.5, and I just blend those and add that under the eye to kind of diffuse that ghostly white cast that the RCMA powder may leave. Now we just gonna wipe her lips because she was looking a little casket ready, and that's what we're not going for. And I'm just spraying her for the 1000th time. Now I'm just blending her face all together to make sure that we don't have any harsh lines before we move on to our next step. During the process, the eyes can start to crease, so I'm just blending that back on down before I move on. And this is where we at so far. Looking good, girl, I know. Now I'm just having her show me that beautiful smile so I can give her some blush. Check her out. Stop playing. So I take my Black Radiance palette and I use that to kind of color correct any parts where I feel like are too light or too dark. And I'm just blending that all around the face to kind of just bring it all together. So you don't really want to be able to tell where your contour, highlight, all of that begins and ends. You want it to seamlessly blend throughout the whole face. That's why I'm using this palette to kind of make sure everything is together and intact. Now I'm taking my Fenty bronzer. I think I mixed Mocha Mami and Coco Naughty together to give me a perfect blend for her face. And I'm just basically placing the bronzer everywhere that I placed the contour. So I'm putting it on the nose, around the head, around the cheekbones. Now I'm taking my eyeshadow and I'm putting it on the bottom. Whatever you do on the top of the eye, you always want to make sure you do it on the bottom as well. And this is where we are so far. So now I'm just putting on my lashes, and you want to make sure that you size your lashes first before placing them on your client. Now boom, I presented you a bad bitch, okay? Now I'm just applying mascara on the lashes to make sure that they blend together properly. And I'm putting them on the bottom lashes as well. And one thing I like to do is just after I place mascara, blend that back in with my eyeshadow on the bottom. And now, since this is our last spray, I'm about to go ham with the spray, okay? So I'm spraying her with 3 different sprays: the Morphe spray, the Milk Hydro Grip, and the MAC Prime Plus, just to kind of make sure she don't look powdery or ghostly. Now we blend that all in because we need that to all be seeped into the skin. At this point, she ain't got no makeup on. It's her skin, okay? And you better not even question it. So now I'm gonna just line those lips because me, honestly, I feel like lips, it brings it all together. Like before I do my lips, sometimes I be like, oh my gosh, is this look gonna turn out right? Then I put them lips on and baby, it do what it gotta do. Like, you see that reaction? The lips clearly did what it had to do, okay? Look at her. And we didn't even put the gloss on yet, guys. We didn't put no gloss on. And look at her. So now I'm just putting on my gloss. I mixed like 3 glosses together, guys. So just know it was a few pinks and it looked cute. So now I'm having her tap her lips instead of moving them back and forth because that really messes up the lip. Everything that you did with that lip, it just messes up all your hard work, and that's what you don't want to do. Now I'm just applying highlight that's everywhere naturally on her face. We don't want to make any highlight that is not there, that looks tacky. And boom, look at her. Thank you guys so much for watching my tutorial. I hope you guys liked it or learned something. If you guys want me to make any more tutorials, just let me know. Bye.